9 things might be quietly draining your retirement savings right now. And many of them are hiding within plans that feel completely safe. I'm talking about the safe money you've got sitting in cash, that estate plan you downloaded online, even the way you're paying for financial advice. These may not be obvious risks, and chances are you may not even notice them. But over a 20 or 30 plus year retirement, they can cost you tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. Today, I'm going to explain exactly what these silent killers are, how to spot them in your own plan, and most importantly, how to fix them before they do serious damage. And stick around to the end because number 9 is one that shocks people the most. And it's probably happening to you right now without you even knowing it. Hi, my name is JP Geisbauer. I'm a certified public accountant, a certified financial planner professional, and this channel is dedicated to helping Americans retire smarter and live better. I release videos weekly, so if you enjoy this content, please hit like and subscribe, and you'll be notified when the new videos are released. Let's start with something that feels safe, but can be very detrimental to your long-term retirement plan. I get it. When the market gets volatile, cash feels safe. But here's something to consider. If you have $100,000 sitting in cash and inflation runs at just 3% per year, in 20 years, that money will only buy about $55,000 worth of stuff. On paper, you didn't lose a dime, but in terms of purchasing power, you lost almost 50%. That's not just the money you lost to inflation. It's also the appreciation you didn't earn. This is commonly referred to as cash drag. While the cash sat there earning 1 or 2%, a diversified portfolio might have been earning 6, 7, or even 8%. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should have zero cash. You need an emergency fund. You need money for near-term expenses. Too many retirees have a pile of cash with no real reason behind it, other than it just feels safe. What's the fix? Keep a set amount of expenses truly liquid. For the rest, consider short-term bonds, CD ladders, or a dedicated income portfolio that still gives you stability but actually fights inflation. Having a bucket strategy can really help people focus on cash management and how to invest the excess. I did a video on that topic, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Number 2, under-withholding taxes. When you were working, taxes were automatically taken out of your paycheck. You didn't really even have to think about it. But in retirement, it's a completely different story. You might be earning income from multiple sources: Social Security, investments, pensions, IRA withdrawals, just to name a few. And most of these don't automatically withhold income taxes. You're cruising along, thinking everything is great because your cash flow plan is working perfectly. But then April 15th rolls around and, surprise, you owe taxes on all of this income. Oh, and by the way, because you didn't pay in enough, you'll owe an underpayment penalty as well. Here's what most people don't realize. The IRS wants their money throughout the year, just like when you were employed. If you don't pay as you go through withholding or quarterly estimated payments, they can hit you with a penalty. So what's the fix? Work with your CPA to estimate your tax liability for the year. Then either increase withholdings on your pension or Social Security, make quarterly estimated payments, or use that RMD withholding strategy. And here's a clever workaround. If you have required minimum distributions, or any qualified distribution for that matter, from your IRA, you can have taxes withheld directly from the distribution. And the beautiful part is that unlike quarterly payments, taxes withheld on IRA distributions are treated as if it was paid evenly throughout the year, even if you take the distribution in late December. Speaking of taxes, number 3 is a related problem that's hiding in plain sight. Okay, this is a big one, and I'd be willing to bet that most of you have never heard of it. IRMAA stands for the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. It's a fancy pants name, but a simple concept. If your income is too high, you pay more for Medicare. IRMAA is based on your income from 2 years ago. That means if you had a big year, maybe you sold some stock, did a large Roth conversion, or received a bonus before retiring, you might get hit with these surcharges without expecting it. And watch out for the cliff effect. If you're even $1 over the threshold, you'll pay the full surcharge for that bracket. There's no gradual phase-in. If you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. Do the British still mint pennies? Anyway, the fix? Plan your income strategically. Time Roth conversions carefully. Consider spreading large capital gains over multiple years. And if you've had a life-changing event like retirement or losing a spouse, you can file Form SSA 44 to request a new determination based on current income. Now, the fear of triggering IRMAA forces many people to hesitate to use this next strategy. Most people have all their retirement savings in traditional IRAs or 401ks. Pre-tax money in, taxed on the way out. This strategy works well while you're working and making money and deferring the income taxes on it. But given how diligently you have saved and how the markets have been performing, you may have millions in pre-tax retirement accounts. The problem? You've basically created a future tax time bomb. Every dollar you withdraw is taxed at ordinary income. And once you hit 73 or 75, depending on your birth year, the IRS is going to force you to withdraw money whether you need the money or not. Those are RMDs, required minimum distributions. Those RMDs can push you into higher tax brackets, trigger the IRMAA surcharges like we just talked about, and even make more of your Social Security taxable. A Roth strategy, whether it's contributing to a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, or doing strategic Roth conversions, creates tax-free income in retirement. And Roth accounts don't have RMDs during your lifetime. The sweet spot for conversions is often early in retirement, after you stopped working, but before you taking Social Security and the RMDs kick in. Your income is lower, so the tax cost of converting is lower also. But too many people miss the window because they're afraid of triggering IRMAA or creating additional taxable income without really knowing what the tax liability will be. The fix? Work with a tax professional to model out multi-year Roth conversion strategies. Better yet, do this with a financial advisor that is also a CPA and has a complete view of your investment and income picture. The goal isn't to convert everything. It's to fill up lower tax brackets strategically so you have tax diversification in retirement. And don't let the fear of triggering slight IRMAA charges in early years prevent you from making strategic conversions that will save you tons of money later. Did you work for a company that gave you a ton of stock options? Or maybe you've held a single high flyer stock for decades and it's taken an outsized position in your portfolio. This is what we call a concentrated stock position, and it's more common and more dangerous than most people realize. According to a research report issued by Morgan Stanley, of the stocks that suffered a catastrophic loss over the past decade, meaning they dropped by 50% or more, nearly 40% of those never fully recovered. Now imagine if that happens to be the stock you're concentrated in. That's not a market dip, that is a retirement crisis. Most advisors would consider anything over 10% of your portfolio in a single stock to be risky. Over 20%? That's a major red flag, and it's probably time to do some work and make some difficult decisions. I know what you're thinking. I'll have to pay capital gains taxes if I sell. And yes, that is true, but there are strategies. Selling gradually over multiple years, using charitable donations of appreciated shares, even sophisticated tools like exchange funds or options collars for larger positions. The fix? Get honest with yourself about how much of your net worth is tied to one company and how much risk that represents to your retirement. Then work with your financial advisor and CPA to create a diversification plan that minimizes taxes while reducing your risk. This one is particularly unfortunate because it hits people at the worst possible time. When one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse faces what's called the widow's penalty or survivor's penalty, and it can be pretty brutal. Here's what happens. You lose one Social Security check, usually keeping only the larger of the two. Any pension income might be reduced or stopped entirely. But here's the tax trap most people don't think about. Your filing status changes from married filing jointly to single. Single filers have tax brackets that are half the size of married filing jointly. The standard deduction also gets cut in half. And the income thresholds for things like IRMAA and taxable Social Security are also much lower for single filers. The result? Many surviving spouses find themselves paying more in taxes even though their income has decreased. The fix? Plan for this while both spouses are alive. Run projections. Consider Roth conversions now while you're in lower married brackets. Examine your pension payment options and develop a Social Security claiming strategy that will maximize the benefits that you are paid to your surviving spouse. I love a good DIY project as much as anyone. But estate planning is not the place to cut corners. Those online will services, Consumer Reports had law professors review them and found they were inadequate to fully meet the needs of most consumers. Even when the documents were technically valid, they still missed critical issues. Here's what typically goes wrong. The will isn't witnessed correctly and gets thrown out. Beneficiary designations on retirement accounts conflict with what the will says. Trusts are created but never funded, meaning assets were never actually transferred into them. Powers of attorney don't comply with state-specific requirements. And here's the worst part. You probably won't have to deal with any of these problems, but your family sure will. And it will be after you're gone, when it's too late for you to fix anything. With the estate tax exemptions as high as they are right now, most people don't need complex estate planning, but everyone needs documents that actually work. The fix? Invest in a proper estate planning attorney. It doesn't have to cost a fortune. A basic estate plan with a will, power of attorney, and healthcare directive might run a couple $1,000s. That's nothing compared to the legal fees and family conflict and all the attendant issues that result from a botched DIY estate plan. Number 8. Long-term care blind spot. 7 out of 10 people turning 65 will need some form of long-term care. A semi-private room in a nursing home could run well over $100,000 per year on average. A private room, nearly $130,000 a year. And those numbers go up every single year. Medicare doesn't cover this. It covers skilled nursing for a limited time after a hospital stay, but it does not cover custodial care, the help with bathing, dressing, and daily activities that most long-term care involves. Yet most people have no plan for this. They assume they'll just figure it out, or that Medicaid will cover it. But Medicaid requires you to spend down almost all your assets first, and the care options on Medicaid are often limited. The fix? Have an honest conversation about long-term care. Options include traditional long-term care insurance, hybrid life insurance policies with long-term care riders, self-insuring with dedicated assets, or some combination thereof. There's no perfect solution, but having no plan is the worst plan. All right, I promised you one that shocks the most people, and here it is. You might be paying 2, 3, even 4% annually in fees for your investments and not even know it. Here's the true cost of those fees. If you have $500,000 invested and you're paying 2% total expense ratio versus 0.5% over 20 years, that difference could cost you $200,000. And here's the kicker. High fees don't mean better performance. Study after study shows that low-cost funds actually tend to outperform higher-cost funds over time in certain asset classes. The fix? Look up every fund you own on Morningstar or your brokerage site. Check the expense ratio. Look for any load fees. Add up what you're actually paying, then ask yourself, is the advice you're getting worth this cost? If not, there are plenty of low-cost index ETFs and fee-only financial advisors who charge a flat or reasonable percentage without hidden commissions or sales charges. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these surprised you the most, and which one is your biggest risk? I read every comment, and these comments help me know which topics to cover next. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.